Now try to keep up with this. You got a fourth mysterious Biden family member who's raking in Chinese cash to the tune of $70,000. House Republicans are trying to unpack a $3 million payment from a Chinese energy firm now defunct. It was sent back in 2017 to an associate of Hunter Biden. And then $1 million of that was split three ways between Hunter, James, and Haley Biden. Now, how thoughtful, because of course she's so qualified to talk about international business because she's a grammar school counselor. Don't take it from me. Hunter's legal team even confirming the payments, but says the whole thing is a giant nothing burger. The big question remains, what exactly was the Biden family doing on behalf of China to receive these payments? House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer has an answer.
They were influence peddling. They were, it looks like they were getting money for some type of service. Now, I don't think Hunter Biden could provide the type of service that would generate millions and millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party, but I believe his father could. So when they say that Joe Biden wasn't involved, we don't know that. We just know that Joe Biden met with a lot of these people that ended up going in business with Hunter, or ended up paying Hunter, rather, and the family.
And this is just the beginning. And a big surprise here, Biden wasn't too keen about taking questions today with the Irish Prime Minister.
Thank you all.
No press conferences, no meetings, no interviews except for the Daily Show. Judge, what do you think he's really thinking about the revelations coming out from these banknotes?
Well, first of all, I think that what he's thinking is the more they dig, and we finally got those, what was it, 150 financial transactions that the Treasury Department had flagged, and they did not want to give to the House Oversight here. But that's going to give us more information. But let's just talk about what's going on here. Right now, you've got Hunter Biden, James Biden, Haley Biden, and a fourth Biden, whose name we don't know, sharing over $1 million after 2 months after Joe Biden leaves the vice presidency in 2016. All right, what did they do for those services? Now, Hunter can't possibly do anything for $1 million unless it's seed money. But show me that money went somewhere to some business. No one can show anything. Haley Biden, I mean, my God, what did she do? She was having sex after her husband died with Hunter Biden and uploading pornographic stuff on the internet. She gets, what, $70,000? The fourth Biden gets a payout, just the name Biden without a first name. We know 10% went to the big guy, not just from the emails, but from Bobulinski. And what we also know is that the Hunter says, I hope you don't have to pay 50% for the family like I had to do with Pop.
Because he was texting with his daughter.
Was he texting, right, with his daughter. But let me explain one thing. Why did Joe Biden lie and say in the first place he doesn't know anything about his son's business overseas? What's the big deal to admit, yeah, my son does business overseas. Why lie? It's called consciousness of guilt. And now they get 51 intelligence officers to say that laptop is Russian disinformation. They're all whores at this point. Now, and to add a little sauce to it, Hunter Biden is now suing for his privacy being violated, which essentially admits the laptop is his and everything in it is literally circumstantial evidence that will corroborate not just influence peddling, but what did you get the money for? We're dealing with a Chinese energy company that is run by someone in the Chinese Communist Party. And by the way, final point. Why did they allow a Chinese spy craft to go over our intercontinental ballistic missile sites and identify where our planes were, what direction they're in, not even bring it down? And then I find out today, Kirby says, well, the president hasn't spoken with Xi Jinping. You mean to tell me he hasn't even complained that spy crafts are all over our country?
I hear you. So the laptop is real. Even Hunter admits it
Suing
because
it
he's
for
suing
privacy.
The Belt and Road program, which is a sinister program to circumvent our influence around the world. The CFC was one of the main engines for that, and President Biden, former Vice President Biden, is supporting that. And the big question is, what was the skill? What was the talent? What was the asset the Biden family was bringing to the table, Harold Ford?
So there's a lot here. I don't know other than what I've read, this is not a story. I mean,
But you've been tracking it for the last 2 years.
But well, I read it in newspapers and all, and it's not to minimize it, but so legally, and we were talking a little bit about it off air, and this is not to defend anyone. I would never do business. I can't imagine doing business with a Chinese company or a Chinese energy company. But number one, former Vice President Biden or Joe Biden was not in office during some of the things we're talking about here. We were asking questions about when he was in office, and Hunter would travel with him when he was a VP, but some of this stuff, he was not in office. Number two, I'm not going to question a Yale-educated lawyer's ability to understand issues like Hunter Biden is. This is not a defense of him as his personal appetites for life. I pray for him. I'm a Christian, believe everybody deserves second chances. He must be a smart guy if they thought that. So Congressman Comer said, why would they pay him? Then he says, I don't know. Then he jumps to, they only paid him because his father was the former vice president. Now, that may be, but then he went on to say that Vice President Biden was doing this. I don't know any of this. All I can look at are the facts. So he was not in office. So if he did do business with them, it was legal. He has to deal with his conscience, but it's legal. Two, the laptop, in terms of it being an admission, it's clearly his laptop.
But I'm just saying he denied it, and the dad denied it in a debate. He said 51 intelligence experts say this is classic Russian disinformation. That's kind of crazy.
Well, Brian, they were wrong. I'm trying to think, they were wrong. And I'm not here to defend any of this. I'm just, as we react to some of this story, the Hunter thing in his laptop, I understand the legal strategy to say that guy, right. If you take something to be repaired and they turn it over to the police, you too, and said, what made you, did you have a legal reason, Judge? You just can't, unless there's a reason, right? Unless a crime's about to be committed, or you're about to prevent a crime.
So I understand his legal. There's no crime, but can I just?
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying it's no. If he was out of office, part of what Congressman Comer is saying, we just got to understand. If Joe Biden was not in office,
2 months, 8 weeks, you get $1 million.
No. And money came in from the Chinese 2 weeks after he left office for services rendered during his vice presidency.
But Jesse, I don't.
Harold, you're a businessman. You don't just give $1 million to someone for seed money. He's not talented.
Let me be very clear with the audience. I'm not defending this. I'm only saying if he was out of office, I wouldn't do this, but he has every legal right to do it. And if what you're saying is right,
Harold,
that they were paying him for something he did in office, he should be indicted and go to jail.
Harold, they just waited until he left office and then paid the family.
Right.
And that's all through a third guy.
And Kennedy,
these are all.
Wouldn't you think it affects someone's foreign policy if they have business dealings with the Chinese government? Don't you think it affects foreign policies and voters should know about it before they cast a vote?
Yeah, I think President Biden is in deep yogurt and a number of vats right now, but I think foreign policy may be the deepest. It appears that he and his family are incredibly corrupt. It remains to be seen whether or not they're truly compromised. But all of the tea leaves sort of point in that direction. And it's like, I don't care if it's a Yale professor who is defending the indefensible. We know this is morally wrong. People should not be enriching themselves on the back of their powerful parents who may become the most powerful person in the world. I don't care if your last name is Biden or Trump or Bush. Right. And Rob Walker, this is the guy who laundered the money for the Bidens, who got it from the Chinese. He worked in the Clinton administration. His wife worked for Jill Biden. The cronyism, corruption, and compromise, the alliteration of C, the depths to which this goes.
You're using words I don't understand.
Right. Yes, you do. You're a smart man, former congressman. You're a banker, and you're a decent human being. And
I want to say something else.
Alliteration.
China is a major player in Biden's green energy policy, and a strategic partner also, because we're going to get the cobalt, the lithium, and everything else that we need from China.
And the less we pump, the less we drill, the more we need. Jesse, final thought?
Janine said everything. And one more thing to you, Harold, who I love. Just because you went to Yale doesn't mean you're smart.
I didn't say that.
You know a lot of dummies that went to Yale. The guy has no business experience. Name one thing that was accomplished with the money.
No one
can say where the money went.
Right.
So you know what that means? It's a bribe.
Can I ask you this? Do you think that President Trump's involvement with LIV Golf, is that appropriate?
Do you think that the Saudis are bribing President Trump?
And if President Trump is really comes back to be president,
in office,
will you argue with the argument we're making? That would mean that President Trump can be compromised by LIV.
8 weeks for what?
Donald Trump is a legitimate businessman who's worth billions of dollars. Hunter is a crackhead with no experience.
But I
Oh,
understand what
but
you're saying.
Haley's got a
Right.
lot of experience.
Haley the
Guidance
Right.
Haley the hook?
All right.
Haley the, you know.
Let's blow. Do I have the power to blow? Do I have the power to blow a commercial and just continue this conversation? Because this is what I like to. Do I have the power? If the answer's no.
If you